Are you trying to improve your thyroid health? In this video, I'm going to show you the 3 healthy vegetables that are secretly destroying your thyroid function. You absolutely have to know this. Hey everyone, and welcome to Revitamen. We're going to cover all 3 vegetables that could be sabotaging your thyroid, but make sure you stick around until the end, because vegetable number 1 is the one that shocked me the most when I discovered the research, and I guarantee it will surprise you too. Alright, let's not waste any time. The 3rd vegetable that's damaging your thyroid, and we're starting with a huge one, is broccoli. Yes, you heard that right, broccoli. Let me explain why this is so critical. Broccoli belongs to a family of vegetables called cruciferous vegetables, and they contain compounds called goitrogens. Now, goitrogens are natural substances that interfere with your thyroid's ability to absorb iodine. And here's the thing, iodine is absolutely essential for producing thyroid hormones. Without adequate iodine absorption, your thyroid can't make enough of the hormones T3 and T4, which control your metabolism, energy levels, weight management, and even your mood. When you eat large amounts of raw broccoli regularly, these goitrogens can suppress your thyroid function over time. This can lead to hypothyroidism, which means your thyroid becomes underactive. The symptoms? Fatigue, weight gain, brain fog, feeling cold all the time, dry skin, hair loss, and depression. If you've been experiencing any of these symptoms and you're eating broccoli every single day thinking you're being healthy, this could be a major piece of the puzzle you've been missing. Now, I'm not saying broccoli is evil or that you should never eat it again. What I'm saying is that if you have an existing thyroid condition or if you're at risk for thyroid problems, consuming large amounts of raw cruciferous vegetables like broccoli can make things worse. The key word here is raw and large amounts. Cooking broccoli actually deactivates a significant portion of these goitrogens, making it much safer for your thyroid. Steaming, roasting, or sautéing your broccoli for just 5 to 10 minutes can reduce the goitrogenic compounds by up to 90%. But here's what most people don't realize. If you're blending raw broccoli into your daily green smoothies or eating it raw in salads multiple times a week, you could be flooding your system with these thyroid-disrupting compounds. If you can just fix this one thing and start cooking your broccoli instead of eating it raw, you'll already be ahead of 90% of people who have no idea this is even an issue. And if you thought that was a game changer, you have no idea what's coming. The final vegetable we'll cover is even more surprising, and it's probably sitting in your refrigerator right now. Okay, moving on to vegetable number 2, which is cauliflower. Just like broccoli, cauliflower is another cruciferous vegetable that contains high levels of goitrogens. In fact, some studies suggest that cauliflower may contain even higher concentrations of these thyroid-suppressing compounds than broccoli does. Cauliflower has become incredibly popular in recent years, especially with the rise of low-carb and keto diets. People are using it as a substitute for everything: cauliflower rice, cauliflower pizza crust, cauliflower mashed potatoes, cauliflower buffalo wings. It's everywhere. And while I love the creativity and the fact that people are trying to eat more vegetables, there's a dark side to this trend that nobody's talking about. When you replace traditional carbohydrates with massive amounts of cauliflower, you're potentially consuming these goitrogens in quantities that your thyroid was never designed to handle. Your thyroid is a small, butterfly-shaped gland in your neck, and it's incredibly sensitive. It doesn't take much to throw it off balance. Let me give you some context. The recommended daily intake of cruciferous vegetables for someone with a healthy thyroid is about 1 to 2 cups of cooked vegetables. But if you're eating cauliflower rice with lunch and dinner, plus snacking on raw cauliflower with hummus, you could easily be consuming 4, 5, or even 6 cups per day. That's way too much, especially if it's raw or lightly cooked. The mechanism here is the same as with broccoli. These goitrogens block the thyroid's ability to use iodine, which is the building block of thyroid hormones.
Over time, this can lead to the development of a goiter, which is an enlarged thyroid gland. Your thyroid literally grows bigger as it tries desperately to produce enough hormones despite the iodine blockage. This is where the term goitrogen actually comes from. Goiter plus gen, meaning to generate. Now, here's something really important to understand. If you already have hypothyroidism or Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is an autoimmune thyroid condition, eating large amounts of raw cauliflower can make your symptoms significantly worse. You might notice that your medication isn't working as well as it used to, or that your thyroid levels are fluctuating even though you haven't changed your medication dose. Often, the culprit is dietary, specifically overconsumption of goitrogenic vegetables. So what should you do? Again, cooking is your friend. When you steam, roast, or boil cauliflower, you dramatically reduce its goitrogenic potential. Also, consider diversifying your vegetable intake. Instead of eating cauliflower every single day, rotate in other vegetables that don't contain goitrogens, like zucchini, carrots, bell peppers, asparagus, and green beans. Variety is not just the spice of life, it's also the key to protecting your thyroid. Next up is something I need to mention before we get to the final vegetable. If you're someone who's been diagnosed with a thyroid condition, or if thyroid disease runs in your family, you should really be paying attention to your iodine and selenium intake. Selenium is a mineral that helps convert the thyroid hormone T4 into the more active T3 form, and it also protects your thyroid from oxidative damage. Good sources of selenium include Brazil nuts, sunflower seeds, fish, and eggs. Just 2 to 3 Brazil nuts per day can give you all the selenium you need. And for iodine, make sure you're using iodized salt, or consider eating more seafood and seaweed, which are naturally rich in iodine. Another common mistake I see is people going overboard with raw vegetable juices and green smoothies. I get it, juicing and blending vegetables seems like the ultimate health hack. You're getting tons of nutrients in one convenient glass, right? But here's the problem. When you juice or blend raw cruciferous vegetables, you're concentrating the goitrogens without the fiber that would normally slow down their absorption. This means your thyroid gets hit with a massive dose all at once. If you're making green juices or smoothies that include kale, broccoli, cauliflower, or bok choy, all cruciferous vegetables, you need to either steam them first before blending or switch to non-cruciferous greens like spinach, romaine lettuce, or cucumber. Now, let's talk about something that might surprise you. Even if you don't have a diagnosed thyroid condition, you could still be at risk. Subclinical hypothyroidism, which means your thyroid function is slightly impaired but not quite low enough for a diagnosis, affects millions of people. The symptoms are subtle. Maybe you're a little more tired than usual, or you've gained a few pounds that won't budge, or you feel colder than everyone else in the room. Most people just chalk it up to getting older or being stressed, but it could very well be your thyroid struggling because of your diet.
And here's where it gets even more interesting. Women are far more likely to have thyroid problems than men, about 8 times more likely, in fact. So if you're a woman and you're eating large amounts of raw cruciferous vegetables because you're trying to be healthy, you're putting yourself at even greater risk. Pregnancy and menopause also affect thyroid function, so during those life stages, you need to be especially careful about what you're eating. And the second to last vegetable, number 2 on our list, is another incredibly important one that we've already covered: cauliflower. This is something I see almost everyone doing, and it's sabotaging your thyroid health without you even realizing it. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. The number 1 healthy vegetable that is secretly destroying your thyroid is kale. Yes, kale, the superfood that's been worshipped by the health community for over a decade. Kale is probably the most heavily marketed health food of the 21st century. It's in salads, smoothies, juices, chips, you name it. Celebrities swear by it. Nutritionists recommend it. It's been called the king of greens. But here's what nobody tells you. Kale is one of the most goitrogenic vegetables you can eat. In fact, kale contains higher levels of goitrogens than both broccoli and cauliflower. It's absolutely loaded with these thyroid-disrupting compounds. And because kale has been so heavily promoted as a superfood, people are eating it in enormous quantities, often raw, thinking they're doing something amazing for their health. Let me share a real-world example. There have been documented cases of people developing hypothyroidism directly from consuming large amounts of raw kale. In one case study published in a medical journal, a woman was drinking kale smoothies every single day, sometimes twice a day. After several months, she started experiencing severe fatigue, weight gain, and brain fog. Her doctor ran tests and discovered that her thyroid function had plummeted. Once she stopped drinking the kale smoothies, her thyroid levels gradually returned to normal. This is not an isolated incident. Similar cases have been reported in medical literature. Now here's the thing. Kale is genuinely nutritious. It's high in vitamins A, C, and K. It contains calcium, antioxidants, and fiber. I'm not saying kale is a bad vegetable. What I am saying is that the dose makes the poison. A small amount of cooked kale a few times a week? Probably fine for most people. But raw kale every single day in large quantities? That's a recipe for thyroid disaster. The problem is compounded by the fact that kale is often consumed raw in salads and smoothies, where the goitrogens are at their maximum potency. When you massage kale with lemon juice or vinegar to make it tender for a salad, you're not deactivating the goitrogens, you're just making it easier to chew. The only way to significantly reduce the goitrogenic compounds is through heat. Sautéing, steaming, or baking kale breaks down these problematic substances and makes it much safer for your thyroid. Another issue with kale is that it's become so trendy that people have replaced other vegetables with it entirely. Instead of eating a diverse array of vegetables, they're having kale, and more kale. This lack of variety means they're getting a concentrated dose of goitrogens day after day, week after week, with no break. Your body never gets a chance to recover.
And here's something that really concerns me. Many people who are health conscious and eating tons of kale are also the same people who might be avoiding iodized salt because they've heard salt is bad. Or they might be on a vegan or vegetarian diet that's naturally lower in iodine-rich foods like seafood and dairy. So they're getting a double whammy, high goitrogen intake combined with low iodine intake. This is the perfect storm for thyroid dysfunction. If you've been experiencing unexplained weight gain, chronic fatigue, depression, hair loss, or sensitivity to cold, and you've been eating a lot of raw kale, this could be your answer. I strongly encourage you to get your thyroid levels checked. Ask your doctor for a full thyroid panel, including TSH, free T3, free T4, and thyroid antibodies. Don't just accept your levels are normal. Get the actual numbers and do your own research. So, what's the solution? First, if you love kale and don't want to give it up entirely, cook it. Sautéed kale with garlic and olive oil is delicious. Baked kale chips are a great snack. Just make sure it's cooked. Second, rotate your greens. Eat spinach one day, arugula the next, romaine lettuce, Swiss chard, collard greens. Give your body variety. Third, if you have a diagnosed thyroid condition, talk to your doctor or a registered dietitian about how much cruciferous vegetables are safe for you personally. And finally, make sure you're getting enough iodine and selenium in your diet. These two minerals are absolutely essential for thyroid health. Without them, even small amounts of goitrogens can cause problems. So, there you have it, the 3 healthy vegetables that could be destroying your thyroid. We covered broccoli, cauliflower, and of course, the most important one, kale. The key takeaway here is that these vegetables aren't inherently bad, but when eaten raw in large quantities, especially if you have thyroid issues or are at risk, they can cause serious problems. Now I have a question for you. Were you eating any of these vegetables raw on a regular basis? Be honest and let me know in the comments below. I read every single one, and I'd love to hear your experience. If you got value from this video, do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next one.